In this video, we are going to learn about conditional or control flow statements in Apex. Since both the terms refer to the same concept, we will use the term conditional statements throughout this video. So, what are conditional statements? Many times in code, we need to execute a piece of logic only when certain conditions are met. This can be done using conditional statements. Here are the conditional statements in Apex: if else, and switch when. Let's try to understand these one by one. The if statement checks for a condition which needs to be evaluated to true in order to execute the piece of code that lays inside the block. Here is the if statement syntax. The bracket after the if keyword contains the condition or multiple conditions to be evaluated to true. A single condition can be evaluated using the comparison operators. And if there are multiple conditions, those can be evaluated together using the logical operators to produce the result in either true or false. The block of code that resides inside the curly braces, that is the left side brace and the right side brace, gets executed only if the evaluation of all the conditions in the if statement is true. If the evaluation comes as false, then the code will not get executed. Let's try to understand this with an example. In the code, you can see that we have created a method findPersonAge group, which accepts a person's age in integer. In the if condition, we are checking if the age is more than or equals to 18 and less than or equals to 60. We are considering that person as adult. If that person is an adult, we will print that in the Apex log using the system.debug method call. So let's try calling this method using the execute anonymous Apex window by specifying multiple values and see what happens. If you see that if we pass value as 16, the system.debug statement does not get executed as the if condition evaluated to false. Now let's try executing the same method with a different value. Now you see, if we pass value as 36, the system.debug statement gets executed as the if condition evaluated to true. Now let's try to understand the next conditional statement, the if else. This is same as the if condition. However, additionally we can add an else block as well, using which we can execute another block of code which will get executed if the condition in the if statement evaluates to false. Note that the if condition here works the same way as we explained in the previous section, where we learnt the working of if statement. Let's try to understand this with an example. So here we will use the same method that we created in the previous example and only add an else block to it. Now let's try executing it through the execute anonymous Apex. For the first time we will pass 36. See, the code executes the system.debug statement in the if block as the if condition evaluates to true. Now let's call the same method while passing the value 14. Now you can see that the system.debug statement in the else block gets executed. Here are the common comparison operators that the if condition supports: equals to, not equals to, less than or equals to, greater than, and greater than or equals to. Also, here are the logical operators using which we can evaluate single or multiple conditions. The AND operator. This means that the condition that appears in the left and the right of this operator should evaluate to true, then only it will evaluate to true. Otherwise, if any of the conditions is false, it will evaluate to false. The OR operator. This means that if either of the left side or right side condition evaluates to true, the OR operator will evaluate the condition to true. It is also possible that we use both of these logical operators together to evaluate more complex conditions. If you want us to make a video on this, please mention that in the comment section. The next conditional statement in Apex is switch when. If you have prior programming knowledge, you will find this concept very similar to the conventional switch case statements. However, the syntax of the switch here in Apex is a little different. If you look at the syntax carefully, you will notice that it is similar to the if-else statements. First, there is a condition where we check for a variable after the switch keyword. Then the curly braces start that defines the scope of the switch block. Inside the switch block, you see multiple when keywords followed by a literal value, which in turn is followed by the left and right curly braces. So this switch when statement means that first evaluate the value in the variable x. If that value exactly matches to 1, it will execute the block of code after the statement when 1. If the value of x is exactly equals to 2, then the block of code will execute which comes after the statement when 2. Let's try to understand this with an example. In this example, we created a method findProfessionalStream, which will accept a string as a parameter. Since the switch when conditional statement looks for an exact equals comparison, it's better we use constants in our code so that the code executes correctly without any failure because of small input variations. So we created 3 constants here: admin, developer, architect. In the code, we apply the switch condition on the variable and try to evaluate it with multiple when statements. The first when condition will check for the constant admin and will print the result in the Apex logs using the system.debug method call. The second when condition will check for the constant developer and will print developer path in the Apex log. The third condition will check for the constant architect and will print architect path in the Apex log. At the end, we will use the else keyword with the statement when. This code block will get executed whenever the passed parameter to this method is not equal to any of the constants. Let's try and execute this in the execute anonymous Apex window. So to summarize at the end, we should be using the switch when statement if we want to evaluate multiple conditions for exact equality. And we should use the if else statements if we want to evaluate multiple conditions which are more complex and we need evaluation for other comparisons as well as compared to the equality check only. If you like this video, please do like and share. If you want to receive more of such informative content, please hit the subscribe button. If you want us to make content related to any Salesforce or Salesforce related topic, please do let us know through comments.